Hi, my name's Lee Matthews and I'm a physiotherapist and I'm part of the pain management team at Queen's Hospital. One of the things that we often encounter is people where the pain isn't just in one area, it's more widespread, and that might be from conditions such as fibromyalgia. It can also be when people have started off with things like back pain, but then it's actually developed into a more widespread presentation where it might affect their shoulders, their legs, because wherever your pain is, it's attached to a human body, and we know that over time sometimes we can develop tightness, stiffness and limitation of our movement. And we also know that actually just even doing basic things like tying your shoelaces or trying to stand up can become more and more of a challenge. There's good strategies and bad strategies that we can apply to trying to manage our pain. And one thing that we know is a good strategy is if you can start to do some gentle movement each day, if you can do some stretching, and that can be something that can be challenging to begin with, but hopefully with the guidance of these videos, you can start to find out what works well for you. We know that pain can be variable from one day to the next, so it might be on a good day you can go quite far with a stretch, and on a bad day it can be more of a challenge just to do a basic stretch, and that's perfectly okay. We know that when we start to implement stretching, it improves our flexibility of joints. It can help to improve our posture, because when things get tight and when we're in pain, we often tend to adopt certain postures and positions that don't always help our joints when we try and move. And we also know that movement itself actually stimulates the lining of the joint to produce some fluid. That's like WD-40. And if I offer you all a free can of WD-40 to help you move, I'm sure you'd like that. And all you need to do is some really simple stretches each day. And we also know that when we're in pain, those muscles tend to get quite bunched up, and that can be quite intrusive to things like sleep. So when we start to just gently do some stretching, it helps to ease off some of that muscle spasm, whether it's in your back or in your shoulders. So by doing a little bit of stretching to bookend your day, sometimes it can actually help to improve the quality of your sleep as well. So there's lots of reasons that it helps directly with joints and physiology, but also even the nerve endings within our body. When we move, when we stretch, it stimulates nerve endings that actually help to dampen down the nervous system. It can get quite sensitized with pain. It's like a constant state of high alert. So even when our mobility is reasonably good, by doing stretches each day, it can also help to calm down that heightened sense of alert that's sometimes there with a chronic pain condition. So some of you might have tried exercise before and met barriers or just found it really flared you up, and so part of the reason that we do these things with guidance is to try and find ways that work for you. We don't want to be yet another brick wall that you crash into and think, oh my god, that made me sore for days afterwards. So with these things, remember, when we start to move differently, just go gentle to begin with. What I'm looking is more for consistency. So even if you start by just doing a small amount, but keep on and manage to do it regularly enough to start doing it each day, that would be great. It might be with some of these videos, you just do one or two of the stretches to begin with, see how you feel, and work from doing them a few times a week to maybe trying to do them each day, and then hopefully doing them each day, twice a day. So when we go to stretch, one thing that we often find is people are quite anxious and stiff, so remember to breathe. Remember to try and relax into the stretch as well if you can. It helps if you're in a warm environment. You might even have the radio on with some nice music to just help to relax you. You can also find that clothing can be quite tight, so again, make sure you're wearing stuff that allows freedom of movement. If you've got tight jeans on, it might not allow you to move your back or your hips quite as well. And I don't mind pops and creaks. Sometimes when we've been stiff from not moving very much, just starting to move, you might notice pops and creaks. That's perfectly okay. For some of you that don't get pain in certain areas, you might find that when you move, you start to get up to a point where you feel resistance, and then it feels discomfort. And with these stretches, what I'm looking for is you to move to a point where it starts to just feel discomfort. You hold that position for about 10 seconds. Try and relax into that stretch. Remember to breathe and then move back to the start position. So that was me just doing rotation there. Obviously we apply those principles throughout the stretches we're about to do. And if your resting level of pain is that area of your body that you're moving always hurts, then we move to a point where you just start to feel the pain increasing, and again hold that tension and then move away. So If you find that doing these is making you sore for the rest of the day, or half an hour later you're really feeling it around the area, then it might be you're pushing too far. And if you find that you're starting to grimace or clench your fists, again, you might just be pushing too far with things. So work at a gentle pace. You might well find that one side moves further than the other because pain isn't always symmetrical. And remember that you can always progress with these, so start with the gentler options. I'll talk about progressions as we go through things, but we'll often start by just doing the movement on its own. It might be that then you increase the lever length by doing certain other movements, and then the final progression is often using your own hands to add that little overpressure, so I call that a self-overpressure, and then moving away from that position. So on any given day, if you're not sure, start with easier options. You've got scope to gently progress there. But I think if you do find that you're having a bad day or you're not feeling great, just stick with the easier options, because I'd much rather you live to tell the tale, that you're free to then do the stretches the next day. If you find that doing these is making you sore for 2 or 3 days afterwards, then that's going to be counterproductive, it's going to just make you more irritable. So with some of these stretches, I often would suggest it's a bit like trying to stroke a cat, that if you go gentle, the cat will enjoy it and you both get benefit from it. But if you go in too heavy-handedly, it can actually make things more irritable and the cat might run away. And in the same way, if you push too hard with a stretch when you're not feeling okay with things, it can then make you go into spasm, it can cause increase in discomfort. So stick with easier options, give yourself some room to progress with things, and this is much more about playing this for the long game. This is about consistency, so try and start doing them 2 or 3 times a week. If you're feeling okay, make them fit into your day, into your schedule, and it might be that you just do the ones that are more specific to your presentation. If you've got more neck pain and upper limb pain, then it might be the second section of stretches that are in seated that you do. If it's more generalised pain around your back, it might be other things. So they're there to be adjusted and made to fit your lifestyle, and hopefully through doing them consistently over about 8 to 12 weeks, you'll start to find that you can do your tasks during the day in a way that's more easy. Often with doing these, the pain doesn't change that much to begin with, but what you will find is that tasks start to get easier, that movement starts to get easier. So if you've had a struggle to change your shoes, to tie your shoelaces, to put your socks on, you might actually find through doing stretches that involve bending forwards, doing stretches for the knees and things, that actually over time the pain's still there, but you're able to do the things you wanted to a little bit more independently. So over time you then find that you might have more good days, fewer bad days. And we also find that if you add in strengthening and other stuff like Tai Chi and exercise to strengthen those muscles, that people also find that their flare-ups are less severe and that they tend to be shorter in their duration. And there's lots of evidence that helps to support those things. So I'd say a good starting point is to introduce stretching to begin with, but again, you just go at a gentle pace with these things. So have a look at the following videos. Hopefully they'll be useful for you, and you never know, we might get to see you progress on to some of the more advanced ones. But whatever you're doing, be sure that going gently, being consistent with it is the best way forwards with these things. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy them.